And of course, efforts are going to be underway for that, as Shakil also mentioned, with regards to the special economic zones that will also be a part, or as CPEC enters its phase 2. Raja Faisal, I'd like your comments as well. If you talk about the Gwadar port, the Gwadar International Airport, of course, a partnership between China and Pakistan, of course, Gwadar being one of the key components of economic corridor. A lot of progress has been made, and of course, as CPEC enters its second phase as well, what would you comment on this great milestone partnership?
And before you start, very quickly, I wanted to correct myself. It is not a lease, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Rafi, I think it's an excellent question, and I'll start, by the way, I'll talk in 3 phases. Phase 1 would be, of course, it would further look like, explanation to whatever our very good friend Shakil Rame, he has said. By the way, I just wanted to mention that I am an avid reader of his articles. He is excellent when it comes to CPEC. Definitely. And obviously, in the first phase of my talk, I want to highlight that such an opportunity it is for Pakistan, of course, for China as well, but it is more for Pakistan, I must say. Reason being, deep sea port we had talking about, and of course now there is a better connectivity in terms of sea, in terms of air, and yes, on the roads. Of course, that would be for SCZs, as Shakil has rightly pointed out. 46 companies, they've already shown the tendencies to, of course, engage in the zones when they are up and running and booming. Of course, it would be a huge milestone that can be achieved by Pakistan's economy, and the location itself opening door to the Gulf states, GCC states, and of course when we talk about GCCs, they are one of the most proficient economies of the world, and if Pakistan is a kind of door to GCCs, it can obviously be very important for because this port there at the door, I think on further business from them as well. And we shouldn't be forgetting that GCCs, they are having very good economic relations with, and their trade relations, and that trade of course will be shifted towards Pakistan as well. Gwadar is up and running. The second phase is related to what kind of opportunities, further opportunities we can discuss and we can talk about. I mean, very recently I met with one of the diplomats from Kazakhstan, and he highlighted that his he has huge remarks for Gwadar, for of course Pakistan's and China's endeavor as a CPEC, and he actually highlighted that it is a wish of Kazakhstan that somehow CPEC can be connected to Central Asian republics through Afghanistan and ends up in obviously Europe through Russia. That would be another opportunity for, and knowing the facts on grounds that publics, and even with the obviously Afghanistan as well, long-standing cultural relations and then territorial relations that we enjoy, and the kind of religion can play a role as well, and we have natural relations with all of these Central Asian republics once CPEC is up and running, and we have jumped over the barriers which are created in the middle, especially related to security when it comes to Afghanistan. I think it would be an excellent way forward for CPEC, for Pakistan, and for China as well, and rest of the connectivity to the Central Asian republics and even to Russia from this side as well. We always talk about the warm waters. Here are the warm waters, and here is the deep sea port that is connected to China, that can be connected to Russia through Central Asian republics and Afghanistan, and it would be vision for all of the countries. The third phase of my of course talk is going to be the security challenge, and we shouldn't be forgetting that the security challenge is mainly from the spoiler on our eastern border, obviously our eastern neighbor, of course India. I'm talking investing in terrorism in Pakistan, and in Pakistan when they hit CPEC or CPEC related of course endeavors of Pakistan and China, they actually mean that they want to hit both Pakistan as well as China. In a way, whenever Chinese are hit in Pakistan by the stakes of India, it means that they are of course trying to score against China in Pakistan. Why they are doing it and why they are coming up with the Chabahar type of stunts, the only reason behind it is that they are spoilers. They will always remain spoilers. Otherwise, if they had any iota of decent selves, then they should have easily come up with Pakistan and of course honor the existence of Gwadar and try to do business through Pakistan, through Gwadar, and if they had any sort of iota of respect left for humanity, then they should have come towards joining hands with Pakistan for the business, for the cooperation, for the positive cooperation. Simply trying to spoil everything, trying to send in and obviously facilitate and finance terrorism within Pakistan, and that is why all of the security related aspects which are erupted against Gwadar, against CPEC, against Balochistan, it has everything to do with it, because India wants this to be unsuccessful. But here I am very hopeful, and we all are very hopeful, that all of these dreams, they would turn out to be nightmares for India. One day our security forces, our intelligence services, they are 24/7 working on it, and day is not far when everything would be as smooth as a cookie, I must say. And my hopes are very high, and eventually that CPEC is going to be the main game changer for Pakistan's economy, and it is going to be equally so important for China as well.
Well, definitely, of course, it is the biggest threat, of course, that we have, and of course, the light at the end of all when we talk about economic revitalization. Shakil Ahmed, I'd like your comments as you, in your previous answer, talked about connectivity with regards to the Gwadar port and, of course, the Gwadar International Airport, both now being functional. Firstly, how do you see it being and acting as a transcontinental hub, considering, of course, the suitability it will have for the OPEC countries as well? And, of course, secondly, how do you see Pakistan further capitalizing on this port, as we have the Karachi port as well, and, of course, the Gwadar port now being operational? How could it be further capitalizing maximum potential, such as including and encouraging the private sector to, of course, use the Gwadar port as well?
The potential, if we talk about, the potential is unlimited. Not just on talking, I'm just saying being a Pakistani, something like that. So it's a data, it's a facts which substantiate this. So potential is unlimited. I just from there was a study which was conducted on 2015 to 2016 trade data of China. If China diverts its trade with the 6 countries through the Gwadar port, because that assumes, so all the things that have been happened, so the CPEC route has been developed, ML1 has been developed, and the road infrastructure. So China will save around about 70 to 71 billion US dollar, and it's a transportation cost. Not only China, but also the trading partners. Those trading partner names are Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Netherlands, France, and so if China only do the trade with these 6 countries, so China can save, China and the trading partners, they can save, 7 countries can save the 70 billion. And Pakistan can earn 10 to 11 billion US dollar annually on the service charges. So this is a one aspect of that trade I'm talking about, of the potential I'm talking about, transit trade. If we talk about the special economic zone, the initial predictions, they shows that if the security situation improved, in the next 10 years, at least 5 to 10 years, at least there will be 10 billion US dollar investment in industry in the special economic zone of the Gwadar port. I'm talking about the Gwadar port special economic zone. I'm not talking about the other special economic zones which will be constructed. There's a special economic zone at the Gwadar port also. So there would be a 10 billion US dollar investment, and that will create 30,000 jobs only at the one site. So this is one example. If we give the facilitation and we erect the infrastructure for the transit route, for example, as Faisal was talking about, from Central Asia. And if we are talking about the Gulf, we're talking about China, we're talking about ASEAN, North Africa. So the potential will be huge. So we can earn much from this transit trade. But the fundamental thing, where the things are stopped, there are two things. Number one, business environment. Our business environment is discouraging. It's anti-business, as you can say in the nutshell. Inefficiency rules here are rampant. So what we can talk, we can satisfy ourselves. You can satisfy yourself by saying, so we have the potential. The businessman, he will ask, so what is the business situation? How I can start a business? For example, if you have take electricity connection, by large, they can take 113 days. In the 4 months, you get the electricity connection if everything right. And if you look at the Saudi Arabia, if you look at the UAE, they get the electricity connection in days, within days. So that is the difference, the business environment. Then you look at the tax system. There are the 35 plus different types of the tax agencies and organizations. So business environment is discouraging, which discourage the other investors to come in Pakistan. Situation. We like it or not, the security is a big challenge at this CPEC and the CPEC related project, especially when the Chinese were attacked. So every investor became very cautious to come to the Pakistan. Even the Chinese investors become very cautious when they come to the Pakistan, because especially for China, the security situation is very important for China. Next, to make it easy to understand, and as you know, the Faisal knows that, and Patafi also know, you also know, in the last few decades, China is following one-child policy. When they lose one person, that means they are losing the whole family. So the important point which Pakistani leadership and the Pakistani security agencies have to understand the security for the China and other investors.
Definitely. For Patafi, I'd like your talk of the Gwadar port and, of course, the increased business and trade activity and, of course, how it's going to be utilized. Do you think the National Logistics Center and, of course, logistics infrastructure in the country needs to be enhanced and increased? Because we're talking about trade and how it's going to benefit even the landlocked countries, the Central Asian republics.
Yeah, but that bit actually is very interesting, because I wanted to actually come clean, so to speak, on that matter. I started writing on Russia issue between 96 and 97, right? Because Berlin
दुनिया के अंदर जो इस वक्त अपॉर्चुनिटीज निकल रही हैं, हम ब्लू कॉलर और वाइट कॉलर जॉब्स के अंदर दुनिया के अंदर 12 लाख से ज्यादा सालाना अपॉर्चुनिटीज को देख रहे हैं पाकिस्तान को छोड़ के। अल्लाह के फजल से दुरुस्त सिमत में जा रहा है, तो पाकिस्तान की इकोनॉमी भी किक स्टार्ट कर रही है, और उसके अंदर जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज यहां पर जो निकलेंगी और जो दुनिया में निकलेंगी, हमने पहली दफा एक एफर्ट की है जिसके अंदर हमने यूथ डेवलपमेंट हब एक हम बना रहे हैं पोर्टल, जो इंशाल्लाह ताला बाय द एंड ऑफ फरवरी लॉन्च हो जाएगा। इसके ऊपर कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी जो चाहे पाकिस्तान में एम्प्लॉयमेंट के हवाले से या दुनिया के अंदर कहीं पर है, ये एआई बेस्ड जो ये वन ऑफ द बेस्ट ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड ये डेवलप हो रहा है हब, और इसके ऊपर हम कोई 50 to 60 मिलियन मतलब 5 से 6 करोड़ की माहाना ट्रैफिक जो है वो हम देख रहे हैं कि वो इसके ऊपर जनरेट होगी। इसके अंदर स्कॉलरशिप्स, चाहे वो एजुकेशन के हैं, चाहे वो फनी तालीम के हैं, किसी भी फील्ड के, क्लाइमेट चेंज से रिलेटेड, ग्रीन इकोनॉमी से रिलेटेड, यू नेम इट, तो पाकिस्तान में और दुनिया भर में जितने स्कॉलरशिप्स अवेलेबल हैं वो भी इस डिजिटल यूथ हब के ऊपर अवेलेबल होंगे। मैडम अभी जो गुफ्तगू कर रही थी, तो उसके अंदर छोटी से छोटी अपॉर्चुनिटी और बड़ी से बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी हम अपने बच्चे बच्चियों को एक स्टेट ऑफ द आर्ट तोहफा शहबाज शरीफ साहब की तरफ से देने जा रहे हैं इंशाल्लाह ताला। और इसके साथ इस 26 तारीख से नेशनल यूथ काउंसिल के बच्चे पूरे पाकिस्तान से इस्लामाबाद इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं, और पूरी दुनिया में जो हमारे 13 जो डेलीगेट्स बने हैं वो यहां पर इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं, और इस्लामाबाद के अंदर ये 3 दिन बैठकर ये अपना एजेंडा सेट करेंगे। हम नेशनल जो है जो यूथ पॉलिसी है, एडोलेसेंट एंड यूथ पॉलिसी पाकिस्तान की पहली, इन बच्चों की मदद से ऑलरेडी इस पर वर्किंग हो रही है, इसको फाइनल करके लॉन्च करने जा रहे हैं। हमारी नेशनल यूथ एम्प्लॉयमेंट पॉलिसी वो हमारी लॉन्च होने जा रही है, और ये वन विंडो ओपन होगा, जिस तरह मैंने आपको पहले कहा। तो गवर्नमेंट इज वर्किंग फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ द यूथ ऑफ पाकिस्तान, फॉर द पीपल ऑफ पाकिस्तान। प्राइम मिनिस्टर शहबाज शरीफ साहब की कमिटमेंट है कि पाकिस्तान के हर बच्चे को तालीम दिलवानी है, और यही वजह है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने आते ही जो है एजुकेशन इमरजेंसी डिक्लेयर की है। पाकिस्तान की कमिटमेंट अपने बच्चे और बच्चियों के साथ ये है कि आपको हम तालीम दिलाएंगे, चाहे इसके लिए हमें कोई भी कॉस्ट बेयर करनी पड़े। और उसके साथ साथ अभी चंद दिन पहले इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑन गर्ल्स एजुकेशन, अभी पाकिस्तान के अंदर बच्चियों की एजुकेशन जो है उसके ऊपर मैं खुद मिनिस्टर एजुकेशन रहा, तो हमारे कई डिस्ट्रिक्ट पंजाब के अंदर ऐसे थे, साउदर्न पंजाब के खास तौर पे, जहां पे बच्चियों को तालीम की तरफ जो है वो माशी हालात की वजह से आने नहीं दिया जाता था। तो पंजाब में हमने एक प्रोजेक्ट शुरू किया जेवरे तालीम के नाम से, कि वो जो तालीम हासिल नहीं कर सकती हैं उनको मंथली स्टाइपेंड मिलता था, ताकि उनके घर वालों को एनकरेजमेंट हो और वो अपनी बेटियों को तालीम हासिल करने दें। उसका रिजल्ट ये निकला कि उन 11 डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो जनूबी पंजाब के थे, वहां पर बच्चियों की जो स्कूल के अंदर जो आउट ऑफ स्कूल जो थी उसकी तादाद में बेतहाशा कमी हुई, एनरोलमेंट 24% इंक्रीज हुई। अब सेम काम हम पाकिस्तान की सतह पर करने जा रहे हैं, जो ये इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑन गर्ल्स एजुकेशन के अंदर जो कमिटमेंट है कि पाकिस्तान की कोई बेटी तालीम से महरूम नहीं रहेगी, क्योंकि बेटियां तालीम हासिल करेंगी तो एक मजबूत माशरा बनेगा।
Chairman,
Youth program, Rana Mashood Ahmed Khan, he was addressing a conference. He was talking about the steps that are being taken to empower the youth, and he mentioned that youth are the biggest asset that we have, and we will invest in them, and we will go to any extent to make education as widespread in Pakistan as possible. And for this program, the Prime Minister has said that there is an education emergency that he has declared in Pakistan, and our girls and our children will be educated on the first priority basis. Education system is going to be made into a very powerful system, inshallah. These are all the details we have for you for now. For more, stay tuned to PTV World.
Wanting it to be a failure, we always talk about India, but beyond India there are other forces as well sitting elsewhere in the world, and what they want to do is they want to make sure that they have a presence in East China Sea in shape of their troops, American troops in South Korea, in Japan, and then there are many countries in Far East where they do have presence in terms of keeping an eye on China, keeping an eye in East China Sea. But when it comes to South China Sea, of course, in shape of Quad, they mended their ways with India, and they actually tried to pose India against China. And of course, we know that India did get that kind of title from Americans in the region, in South China Sea. They are pretending to be another power, an equal power to China, and they want to, of course, pose a sort of threat to China at this hour. And that is why, I mean, Farooq rightly pointed out, Eastern Ladakh, 38,000 square kilometer of Eastern Ladakh, China occupied it, and then Arunachal Pradesh, China is claiming 89,000 square kilometer there. China believes that it belongs to China. Arunachal Pradesh does not belong to India at all. When it comes to, of course, India not being able to fight against a might like China, we know they only sent a general under whose command they, within a month they created the airfields, they created hell loads of things, they put the swarms as well, the Chinese I'm talking about. They kept India so much busy that eventually India thought to itself that it would be utter madness to pose a challenge to China because they can't compete it. Because, forget about beating China, it's like they can't compete it. And that is why they kept on trying to bring China on the table to, of course, negotiate. And we have been seeing that, defense secretary and then defense minister of India, alongside a couple of, lieutenant generals, they kept on going there for talks. And from the other side, we only saw one major general sitting from the other side, the Chinese side, as if they don't care at all. And they kept on saying that this is where we stand, or we won't give you a chance. And after 18 rounds of talks, what they did was they accepted the position of China, and they came back and started on the Indian channel, started claiming as if we have had talks with China. Otherwise, I would call it a surrender. They have quietly surrendered their position, in their reason being they can't compete. And I think these kind of things, the Western countries, especially the ones who have a trade war going on with the Chinese, they need to understand this, that they are, of course, trying their level best to have somebody to engage China, and they keep on giving them sort of alibis from there. They keep on engaging other rest of the countries in the region in terms of facilitating and financing terrorism. I think all of these things, they need to be checked by America. And I can simply say that with Trump taking the Oval Office now, I can expect some sense prevailing in terms that Trump, we all know he's a very good genius when it comes to business. He can think otherwise. Before, in the previous regime, we saw that it was the deep state that was controlling America, and it was doing whatever they wanted. And Biden was just a stooge, Biden was just a pawn, and whatever the deep state was, of course, sort of puppeting him. He's been a puppet. Now is the chance. I'm pretty much sure that Trump would come to terms with it, and the kind of leverage India had in the previous regime, India would not have in coming 4 years. And if India is not having that leverage which it had previously, then of course I can simply see some caps being put on India. And if some caps are being put on India, in that context, of course, it would be a win-win situation for Pakistan, for China, for America, for all of the powerful countries. Why? Because India would be getting a cap to not engage in exporting terrorism.
Yeah.
We all know that India in recent times has been declared as a country that has been exporting terrorism, not only to, of course, Pakistan, but throughout the world, even the Western countries. One of them got caught in New York in daylight, and one of the action they did was in Canada, in which they murdered somebody. So all of these things, I think they will get a cap on it in coming days. Once that cap is fixed, of course, it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Well, of course, that's the way it should be. Shakil Rami, I'd like your comment. First, regarding, of course, the tariff wars that we've seen and there's talk about recently. And secondly, when we talk about economy and, of course, and the Gwadar port, we talk about economic revitalization and out-of-the-box solutions. We know China is leading in, of course, the IT industry, in the e-commerce sectors, and Pakistan has a youth bulge that could capitalize on, as we've all talked about special economic zones. Do you think there could be e-commerce cities developed in Gwadar which could benefit not only the populace of Balochistan but give rise to trends in the country?
Definitely, it can be built. We can look. If we look around, look at the third BR forum, where the President Xi Jinping has given a speech. That is very important speech to understand what would happen under BRI in the coming years. So one of the key area in that was the digital economy, so e-commerce. So China will be putting and establishing new as a special economic zones within China to facilitate, say, digital economy and the e-commerce. And they will also be repeating those pilot projects in other countries also under the BRI. Pakistan can attract investment under that. But again, coming back to, as my friend Patafi was saying, the bureaucracy. So I give you one example from India, Patafi. India started to build the special economic zones before the China. And look where China is today and where India is today, because India also have somehow the bureaucracy like Pakistan. They have many something like, because they are the bigger country, they are the bigger population, the geography and the bigger resources. That's why the economy. But they are like us, so their bureaucracy is like us. They are not doing the much they should do. So tariff war, whether Faisal was talking about the caps on India, I don't see there would be any cap, because what I see, if from my perspective, maybe I'm wrong, but my perspective is India and Israel, they have the real friendship. Because if you look at the Greater Israel idea and the Akhand Bharat idea, so they both are the neighbors. So in the when they are the Khand Bharat will be established according to their own point of view, and when the Greater Israel will be established, they will be the neighbors like this Asia and this region. So their friendship or their linkages with the Israel, we have to see how India play that card. So in the tariff war, I don't see that India will face much, because India is on their part and they are the hope, because it is also an economic rational. If you look at the economic size of China, it's 1.4 billion. If you look at the population of USA, it's a 400 million, around the 400 million. If you also count these all the European countries, it will come around the 1,000 or the more than the 1,000 million. So they need a new market where they can invest, because their market is already saturated. But in Chinese market, there will be millions of people will be transiting from one class to other class, from middle class to the upper class, from middle class. And with every transaction, so there would be the $1 trillion economy will be produced. So China can face the problem of the tariffs. And therefore, they need the India. And India is cognizant of this fact. India want to exploit this situation. But here is Pakistan also a good market. Pakistan is also 250 million people market. Pakistan also play its card widely. But what we are doing, we are not moving. We just trying, we are so addicted to the loans, we are unable to understand what are the dynamics and how to utilize on the investment. That is our real problem.
For Gaddafi, your concluding remarks on how the conversation has shaped up.
I mean, India bit is very interesting, but I wanted to correct a couple of things earlier said along with that as well. I don't think, President Biden was any stooge of any kind. I think he was an honorable man. Of course, America has its own interest pegged with somehow with Israel. So that was what kept on happening. I will see how decoupling takes place, as Shakil was pointing out, between Israel and America under Donald Trump. Either, as yesterday it was pointed out, that Donald Trump is actually more fond of, what do you call, Israel. But regardless of that, what exactly is the situation right now? Donald Trump, no doubt, is not only a genius. Tuesday was his first full day in government, right? Yeah. And the guy actually landed $500 billion worth of investment in AI infrastructure, which included Oracle, which included SoftBank, which also included OpenAI, right? It is called Project Stargate. I don't know why they chose that name, but they did, right? In the age of QAnon, if you use something like Stargate, so there is going to be conspiracy theory somewhere that perhaps aliens are coming to Earth. But regardless, this is the state of affairs. He's very gifted, right? And we have seen how he has actually maneuvered his way back to power. The concerns that you have to look at, and this goes to what he was trying to say and what our friend was. On one side is this belief that somehow India is always going to be the friend, right? I told you yesterday that Donald Trump actually views the world in a different way. He says that if you want to contain anybody, we can do it without any ally. If you want to contain China, we don't need so-and-so, we can go it alone, right? You want to actually contain North Korea, we can directly interact, which is true. These alliances were actually conceived during Cold War, right? Cold War changed, the world has changed, right? Now you have planes which actually take you to one place, from one place to another within no time, right? With that kind of reach and the kind of economic prowess that he is actually promising and military build-up that he is actually promising to American people, India will have less leverage, right? Granted. But here comes the actual thing. Who is going to have more leverage? Us? No, right? Because India has more population, India has more money. Donald Trump, if he likes investment from, by the way, India has decided to take back 18,000 immigrants from India to America, which had some shoddy papers, right? So they have already started playing to his better nature. India will have more leeway. The only argument that I give, and that's why I think someday I'm going to actually write a book on evolution of my beautiful mind. I'm quoting using Donald Trump's language, by the way, because I kept on coming up with many ideas. 10 years ago, I'd speak to an Indian minister and I said that in 1947 the whole concept was India and Pakistan going to be allies. So why don't we actually become allies, right? The point is, if there's any leverage, instead of hoping that it goes away, you work with it and you try to build your own leverage as well along with it, right? It has happened with so many countries. Japan actually built so many countries around it because when it modernized, it actually, there was this, I call it shedding. The olden technologies were gifted to other countries and they became Asian tigers. So the point is that any country that is, and there comes the biggest problem with us South Asians. Shakil was talking about their bureaucracy and ours. That is not the problem. The biggest problem is our mindset which is stuck in political zero-sum game. Because Chinese are very smart. They don't actually look at political issues at all. American Donald Trump is again going to actually talk about national power, but especially defined by economy, right? So I think that there is going to be leverage with all the countries which have money, because they, I mean, how big is UAE? It is smallest place, yes, right? But look at the kind of investment the market is actually taking to USA. Because of that, they have leverage. Any country which has money is always going to have leverage. Any country which is struggling with its economy is always going to have that problem. So that's why I keep on saying, tamp down your ambitions with a dose of reality and work with whoever is ready to work with you to make the country economically vital and viable. Once you do it, you can benefit from everything.
Definitely. We'll conclude it at that. I'd like to thank you all gentlemen, Shakil Ahmed Rame, Farooq Batafi and Raja Faisal for being part of the conversation. All of your views are highly appreciated. With that, we wrap up the debate for today. See you same time tomorrow. Till then, take care.
People who brought in Punjabi rap, brings a lot of pride to Pakistan. Rubai lucky, ladies and gentlemen, that we've actually been joined by the one and only. If they're not very controversial, if we can share them on screen, please go ahead.
I'm a nomad musician.
I
was very close to my mom. I lost my mom at an early age. As a child, you have certain cadence that you have to follow. There's timing, there's rhythm, there's rhyme to it. Fear or shame or feeling vulnerable. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna hide my feelings, what's in my heart and my... You can say, oh wow, kya shit.
Wonderful to have you over here.
We are proud Pakistanis.
We are the healers and bring hope to those in need.
We are the builders.
We are the engineers who create the infrastructure of our country.
We are the artists who bring joy and beauty to your faces.
We are the dreamers and the doers.
We are champions, the athletes who bring glory and pride to our nation.
And we are the storytellers.
The journalists that bring you stories and news that matter.
Meet the team that brings you the latest news from all over the world.
Join us as we continue to write our story.
And every day, we strive to make Pakistan stronger, brighter, and more prosperous.
We are PTV World.
Discover the heart and soul of Pakistan like never before.
Experience the rich culture and true flavors of our land. Every brings a new story,
A new taste.
and a new thrill.
The past and present blend together.
To create a future filled with promise and beauty.
It's not just a country, it's an emotion.
It's a hope and a dream of millions
Discover the flavor
that make our cuisine unforgettable.
Join us through this journey of glorious Pakistan.
That's everyone. This should be taken. It's going to be comfortable. It is. The second wicket goes down. England 2 for 80. Appeal, but the big wicket. Root has been dismissed.
Set himself nicely. 46 off 56, but he's got it to park.
I'm Dr. Tariq Ali Bangish. I'm a liver transplant surgeon at Sheikh Zayed Hospital, Lahore. I'll be appearing on Syed Farooq Hassan program, Sky is the Limit. Please don't miss it.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif says the government and media have a relationship of mutual trust, and constructive criticism of government policies is vital for improvement in governance. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb holds a number of meetings on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum at Davos, highlighting the key structural reforms undertaken by the government to promote economic stability and sustainable growth. Federal Minister for Interior Mohsen Naqvi meets members of U.S. Congress Joe Wilson and Rob Resnahan separately in Washington and discussed them with ways to enhance bilateral ties between the two countries. The Islamabad High Court rejects pleas for stay in the trial of Tosha Khana 2 case and adjourns the hearing till January 28th. Pakistan's stock exchange witnesses a bullish trend at start of business as the KSE 100 index gains over 700 points, surging to more than 114,100 mark. Pakistan stands ready to share its counter-terrorism expertise with African partners and assist in establishing institutional structures and capacity building for sustainable peace. The United Nations warns that Israel's ongoing attacks on the occupied West Bank have left Jenin refugee camp nearly uninhabitable, with at least 10 people killed and water and electricity cut off from the main hospital there. United Nations says West Bank is part of occupied Palestinian territories. The UN spokesperson's comments came in reaction to Donald Trump's nominee for UN ambassadorship's assertion that Israel has biblical right in the occupied Palestinian territory. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman says the kingdom would expand its investment and trade with the United States to $600 billion over the 4 years and potentially beyond that. The United States military has started to send 1,500 active duty troops to the country's southern border with Mexico as part of President Donald Trump's long-promised crackdown on immigration. At least 11 people died in a rail accident in India's western Maharashtra state when they disembarked from a train fearing a fire, only to be hit by another train passing on the adjacent track. The Champions Trophy, featuring Pakistan's Shadab Khan and Shaheen Afridi along with India's Hardik Pandya, is out now. Hello, I'm Zahra Sikandar and you're watching PTV World. This is all from the headlines for the moment. For more details and live streaming, log on to our website world.ptv.com.pk.
Hello and welcome to Views on News. I'm Jawad Tehami. Just a few hours after the inauguration of Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States of America, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin held a video call, and this particular video call lasted more than 1.5 hours. President Putin called Xi Jinping a dear friend and said Russia and China were building ties on the basis of friendship, mutual support despite external pressure. For his part, Chinese President called on President Putin to continue deepening strategic coordination, firming up mutual support and safeguarding the legitimate interests. They also have confirmed their readiness to build a relationship with the America on a mutually beneficial and respectful basis if President Trump's team shows an interest in that. Also, for a fact, we know that earlier President Xi Jinping congratulated President Donald Trump just before his inauguration in a phone call, which President Donald Trump described as very good. President Xi Jinping expressed his readiness to secure greater progress in China-US relations from a new starting point. We also saw that right after his inauguration on Tuesday, President Donald Trump had threatened to sanction Russia if its President Vladimir Putin refuses to end the war in Ukraine. And President Trump, in that particular phone call with President Xi Jinping, had said he had pressed President Xi Jinping to intervene to stop the war in Ukraine. A number of other important statements made during these interactions. We'll be taking all these interactions up for discussion in the light of the recent inauguration of President Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States of America. What could be expected amid that growing, ever-emerging relationship between China and Russia, which has been termed as a no-limit partnership between the two countries. Also, we also know for a fact there was an endeavor made by Chinese side with its 12-point peace proposal to end the crisis in Ukraine. How the trajectory of President Donald Trump's policy had been during his first term and what could be during his second term as far as his policy towards both Russia and China is concerned. For that, we are honored to be joined in the studio by Mr. Khalid Taimur Akram, international relations expert. Mr. Akram, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also in the studio, we are honored to be joined by Mr. Zamir Ahmed Awan, foreign affairs expert. Mr. Awan, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. On Skype, at the same time, we are honored to be joined by Mr. Shahid Amji Kiani, former ambassador. Mr. Kiani, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Mr. Akram, before heading on to these latest developments, the latest interactions between leaders and what could be expected in the future ahead as far as United States policy under Trump 2.0 is concerned towards Russia and China, let's take a quicker stock of how his policy towards both China and Russia had been in the first term.
Yes, very much. In first term, we had seen President Trump had quite an offensive policy towards China and Russia. Once President Trump won his time, one of the few first phone calls which he attended, the congratulatory call was from the Taiwanese president, and which was not liked by China. And during his first term, we had seen that President Trump was always engaged in war of words with China, and of course with Russia also. And President Trump had even then declared China as a country of concern. And then we saw COVID coming, and then we saw President Trump blaming solely China for the spread of the COVID. And once he left the office, he did not left the office in a good tone with China. And now coming over to his new tenure, and you will see that we have seen, I watched his speech, and in his inaugural speech, he repeatedly mentioned about China, and it seemed that China is on his head. Of course, he's a businessman, and as a businessman, China, he feels China as a competitor of the business people in America. He mentioned about China, he said that China is the biggest user of Panama Canal, and he said that we are going to take over Panama Canal, and there he mentioned about China. Then President Trump withdrew from WHO. World Health Organization is one of the most important organizations, and he withdrew on the plea that America is contributing $350 million US dollar per year to WHO, whereas China is only contributing $39 million US dollars. And he said because China is contributing less, so that is why we are withdrawing from WHO. And there are a number of other occasions in which President Trump, while signing the executive orders, had mentioned about China. He talked about increasing the tariff with China. He talked about increasing more regulatory regulations on trade with China. It is obvious that he's concerned about China because, as I said, President Trump's background is of business, and he has a lot of pressure from the business community of US to put sanctions on China so that the American industry should grow. In his speech, one of the words he said that we will again make the US a leader in industry, because since 9/11, the US tagline of the US industry is the military industrial complex. But Trump is a businessman. He wants to shift from the military industrial complex to the normal business. But that space in last 20 years occupied by China.
Okay, so what I understand from your take is his policy during his first term has been largely of competition and confrontation towards China. Mr. Awan, what's your understanding? What's your understanding regarding as to how his policy went regarding China in particular, and did he achieve the desired results with that policy?
First of all, I endorsed Mr. Taimur Ikram's opinion. But I also have some different opinion also. That is, Trump during his first tenure was first time in the politics. That was his first experience as a president of United States of America. But for last 4 years he was not the president. He was victim of many other things. And he become more mature, and the circumstances has changed him. I believe during this term, he is not the old President Trump. He is a more mature, more sensible president. Although, whatever Mr. Taimur said that he has announced Panama Canal and the tariff and all these things, he will still continue the same policies. But he has some realization that the rise of China is a reality. And without the China, he cannot achieve many of his goals. For example, he needs Chinese help in ending Ukraine war. He needs Chinese help in the Middle East. He needs Chinese help in many other aspects. So he realized the importance and significance of China. He will definitely try to impose some sanction and some pressure on China, but will be diluted or will be mild, not as severe as it was in his first tenure. I think that that is a realization that China has reached a stage where it cannot be ignored. He must consult. Definitely, he has also telephonic conversation with the President Xi before taking oath. During his first tenure, he was avoiding to talk to China. He was thinking that China is the enemy or the concern or rivalry. But now he realized it is a competition. And the healthy competition is always encouraged and good. He will not be offensive towards China. He will try his best to gain maximum out of China. But definitely not as harsh as he was in his first tenure.
There has been an acknowledgement of the differences being natural when it comes to the interest having different cultures, the Chinese top leadership. But when we talk about that particular realization, do you really think that is going to actually manifest in actions? I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Mr. Kiani into the discussion also. Mr. Kiani, do you see any sort of a different approach on the part of President Donald Trump towards China in particular when we talk in comparison to what his policies were in his first term?
Let me just share with you that, you know, all leaders, they leave a legacy. All leaders have at the back of their mind, and this is now the second and the last term of President Trump. He would like to leave a legacy to be remembered, because there has been a lot of controversies regarding him. He has done this and that. Regarding, let me just share with you that first is the Monroe Doctrine. A repeat of the Monroe Doctrine is the backyard of the United States, which is Mexico and certain Latin American countries, others. It is part of influence of US, and US would not like to withdraw from that. You have heard about the Panama Canal and the Mexico, what the borders will be sealed. This is something on which I can assure you there will be no compromise. The Panama Canal is something little difficult, and the reason is that it is the Panamanians are a small country, Panama. They has given it a commercial license to the Chinese to run the Panama Canal. So there will be some sort of a compromise. Maybe the prices, the rates for the US ships passing through may be reduced, something like that. But the influence will remain. The Monroe Doctrine will remain. Now, coming down to the second thing is regarding China. Trump is known to understand the significance of coexistence. And I'm sure he will coexist with Russia and with China. But both are different. Russia political influence, while the Chinese have political and economic influence both. So, and they understand. One of your colleagues was rightly saying that he needs to coexist these countries, understand, and needs their support also, because domestic audience for President Trump is extremely important. Improving the lives of his people, the health of his people, the generating employment in the country are extremely important. And for that, he has to put an end to the Gaza war. Is already you've heard it ended, but then the Ukraine war should also end. And I tell you, there's the reason. The people of United States, right from the end of the Vietnam War, literally people came out of the streets to end the Vietnam War. The Afghan war was extremely unpopular in the US. And when when the troops, they die or their bodies are brought back to US, there is no support for that. So Trump wants to end these wars so that he can focus all his energy on his own people. He wants to leave a legacy of a president who cared for his own people. Making US great again is sort of a domestic, he has ended domestic. And then illegal immigration, it is extremely unpopular in the US. Removing them would be a little difficult challenge, but I tell you, it has a lot of support in the US. Nobody wants to see illegal immigration. So globally, Trump wants to leave a legacy of a president who wanted peace globally, and he wanted peace at home and to improve the lives of its own people. So this is
exactly
something
what he said somewhere at the end of his inaugural speech also, Mr. Kiani, that his proudest legacy would be that he wants to be called as a peacemaker and a unifier, and he's also referred to that very particular release of the hostages in Gaza.
Absolutely. Yes, very right. And you see, about 2 weeks back, I was one of your shows and people asked me, I said, the war in Gaza will end a day earlier before he comes, because for that, he has been using his muscle, using his envoys to end that, because the Jewish influence, the Israeli influence on the release of the hostages for him is very important. Ending the war in Gaza means releasing the hostages. So that he has done. I think the second stage and third stage will go on and they will end. And he will be known as a peacemaker in Ukraine. One will see talking to President Putin, or behind the scenes also talking to President Putin, sending his own envoy end the war so that he can focus on his own people. And as he said very rightly,
this peace, becoming a peacemaker as far as the resolution of the crisis in Ukraine is concerned, he has already threatened, or just after his inauguration is threatened to sanction Russia if President Vladimir Putin doesn't, he actually refuses to end the war over there in Ukraine. I'll come back to you. Let me once again go back to Mr. Akram. Mr. Akram, do you have also any sort of a hope, because by looking at this particular statement during that particular phone call between President Xi Jinping and President Donald Trump, President Xi Jinping made a very important statement, and he has also expressed his desire to build this particular relationship from a new starting point. So we also see that realization in the top Chinese leadership, that it is natural to have disagreements and differences on this particular level. But he also said that the two great nations of China and the United States are pursuing their respective dreams, and both are committed to delivering a better life to the people. They've got extensive common interests, broad space of cooperation between the two countries. China and the US can become partners and friends, contribute to each other's success, and advance shared prosperity with the good of the two countries and the world as well.
Yes, as you know, 2013, once President Xi Jinping gave the concept of the community of the shared future, and then in the same year he gave the concept of the Belt and Road Initiative. So since then, President Xi has been advocating the concept of the community of the shared future. The concept basically entails that all the nations should work together, they should remain within their sovereign boundaries, and they should not attack each other, no war, because these kinds of war also does not suit China, because China is expanding the connectivity through rail networks, road networks, and maritime networks. So for China, any kind of war anywhere, whether in Middle East or in Russia, Ukraine, or in somewhere in Africa, would mean halting of the grand designs of the BRI. And if you see during the last APEC meeting last year, once President Xi went to America, he told President Joe Biden that China is not in competition with the US. China feels that US, if US is a superpower, China agrees to that. What China only wants it that if it wants its due share in trade, its due share in connectivity. And thinking that, and whatever President Xi Jinping has been advocating since last 15 years, so he has offered the same olive branch to President Trump. Now it is up to President Trump that how would he take it, because China does not want any kind of confrontation, not only with US but with any other country, because China's program of the Belt and Road Initiative, Community with Shared Future, Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiatives and Global Civilization Initiatives are all for enhancing the connectivity with
the
the
connectivity
world.
towards the mutually beneficial relationship, also the win-win cooperation for all. But by looking at this particular statement during that particular call of President Trump with President Xi Jinping, President Donald Trump thanked President Xi Jinping, of course, for the congratulations. Then he values his relations with President Xi Jinping. He hoped that he would be keen to talking to each other and look forward to meeting with President Xi soon. As the most important countries in the world, the US and China should get along well for years and beyond and work together for the world peace. And it's also, when we talk about the significance of Chinese role in the resolution of the Ukraine conflict is concerned, let me quote Mr. Trump. He says he has not done very much on that. He's got a lot of power, like we have a lot of power, and you ought to get it settled. We did in that particular phone call. Here, he's recognizing that how significant role Chinese president has got when it comes to the resolution of the Ukraine conflict is concerned.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you see it a huge or a considerable shift from what President Trump was towards China in his first term as compared to what he has now at the moment?
Actually, as Mr. Zamir had also said, that now President Trump is more mature in politics. Now President Trump has a specific agenda. He has said America first. He wants to bring America in the forefront of trade. He wants to revive the American industry other than the defense industry. And for that, he knows that China is not that China which was 80 years ago or which was 4 years ago. China is now a reality. China is now an economic superpower. Without Chinese interference or without Chinese help in the region, he cannot operate in this region, especially in the South region, in the global South. China has got a lot of say, because President Trump would need China to resolve Ukraine crisis. President Trump would need China to even in Afghanistan also, because China has now considerable influence over the Afghan Taliban also. So tomorrow, if President Trump feels any kind of issues in this region, he is going to seek help from China. But at the same time, we must underline this thing, that President Trump is under immense pressure from the business community of America to put sanctions or economic or trade sanctions on China, so that the US industry can flourish. And this is the baseline. As we know, during the inauguration ceremony, if you must have seen that the new administration people, they were sitting on the back benches. In the front, and all the tech and all the billionaires were sitting on the front. So President Trump wants to take along all the business people with him, and since he himself is a businessman, he is going to pursue his Abrahamic Accord in Middle East. He is going to pursue his policies of electric vehicles. He is going to pursue many of his policies regarding Latin American countries. But at the same time, one thing is at the back of his mind is this, that China has now got a lot of influence in Latin America. BRI now has 155 partners. BRI is now expanded. BRI is near completion. The infrastructure part is already completed. And the Latin American countries are standing with China, the African countries are standing with China, the Asian countries are standing with China. So China is a reality. So he has to strike a balance between whatever he's saying and whatever he is going to do.
Striking that balance amid that particular pressure that you have already mentioned from that business community from within the US, do you think that would be easily achievable?
No, not for him. Easily, it will not be easily achievable for him, because right now we are seeing that all the appointments which he has made, they're from the business community. Lot of old politicians from his own party are sidelined, and he has brought up young blood in that, and most of them are the new people in his cabinet. They are not very much pro-China. They would like to go along with the America First policy, and they would like to, in the energy sector also, in the education sector also, in the health sector also. So we may see President Trump going to their pressure and walking out of various international agreements where China has an upper hand, like we saw in WHO. In WHO, he said that why should we contribute more if China is not contributing more? So he is going to put his pressure on China through various means, but at the same time he realizes the fact that without China it will be impossible for him to have a balanced approach in the world.
Right, Mr. Zamir Ahmedawanu, I understand your optimism regarding as to how different this particular term of President Trump is going to be vis-a-vis China. What about that particular mention of China when it comes to the Panama Canal being taken over back by the US, and he also mentioned that it was given to Panama, not to China, while China keeps operating that. Point number one. Second number, when he talks of enriching the US citizens by imposing tariffs and taxes on the foreign countries, what does he mean by that?
Let me say something about the Panama Canal. Panama Canal was artificially connecting the two big oceans, Pacific Ocean and American Ocean. And it was started by the French, but they have completed half work and then they left. Finally, the American, they completed it. Around 3 decades, 4 or 5 decades ago, it was given to a Hong Kong-based company. At that time, Hong Kong was not part of China. It was the British colony, and it was an independent company. China has a share in that company, and has significant shares, and has a management role in that company also. The China has taken over Hong Kong, so you can see the Chinese contractor. To cancel such mega contracts is not so easy. They might bargain something, it is possible. But the Trump has said that even that use the military to regain the control over Panama Canal, that is not going to happen, I believe. There will be negotiation and compromise, and for China it is a business, it is a operational company, it's just operating that one and getting some revenue out of it. And China has a good managing such canals and the ports, and China has developed mega infrastructure there, and latest technology is using there, and China is very advanced in these things. So I think that even that American wanted, they cannot take over completely from China or kick out the China from that Panama Canal. The second thing, that the tariffs. You know, China has already taken some measures to counter American pressures. China has also already blacklisted some of the American companies, imposed some taxes on such American products, and they have taken appropriate measures. China is not aggressive. China will not initiate any new confrontation. But if American impose some tariffs, they will retaliate, or they will tit for tat, and end of the day, America will suffer more, because China has diversity of market. The China has a huge domestic market. Whatever they produce, they can consume locally, even that. And also, the overseas market for China is much, much bigger than the American. American has less access in the global market, China has more access in the global market. So end of the day, if there is a confrontation, on the trade or tariff between China and America, America will suffer.
Right.
It is possible to keep the local population or his voter happy, or his close friend, the entrepreneurs in America. Trump might take some years, but that will be counterproductive.
Right. Mr. Kiani, you already mentioned of the Ukraine crisis. Now, when we talk in the light of that particular statement of President Trump during his inaugural address, that he wants to leave that proudest legacy of himself as a peacemaker and a unifier, he although referred to that particular ceasefire agreement, the release of the captives held in Gaza. So as far as the Ukraine conflict is concerned, he has actually expressed his desire, actually called on President Xi Jinping to intervene, to press on Russia to end the war in Ukraine. Let me quote it again, that he's said that we are already talking to President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, and at the same time threatening Russia of sanctions if President Vladimir Putin doesn't end the war over there. Then that particular emphasis towards President Xi Jinping, that he's not done very much on that. He's got a lot of power, like we have a lot of power. You ought to get it settled. We did discuss it. So when he talks that he hasn't done anything much on that, what about that 12-point peace proposal the Chinese authorities came up with for the resolution of this conflict?
Let me just state to you that there is a fatigue inside Russia and in Ukraine both. Ukraine has suffered more than Russia. And the fatigue calls that this war should end, both by the Russian and the Ukrainian leadership. But there has to be a guarantor. And guarantor it is Ukraine that wants a guarantor. That some of the territory which the Russians have encroached has to be either returned or some sort of settlement has to be brought about. And the second thing would be that the war ends and Russians would not encroach more whatever they have taken. So the fatigue, you must have read in the media a lot of problems with the Russian troops also, within the people also. So they consider that this is not their war. Like they had if you remember the Afghan war, also they were sick and tired of that. So this is a time now that President Trump may become the guarantor to end the war. It is an unpopular war. Even globally, it's an unpopular war. There is no support for this war. I have not seen anywhere around the world for this. And for this, I again say to you that there will be a global support to President Trump to end this war. And you will see behind the scene, there will be in diplomacy, there are more work being done behind the scenes than publicly. They will be updating slowly and steadily that this is happening. But behind the scenes, at this time, the team, will form his own team to talk to Ukrainian leadership and the Russian leadership. Both want this war to end, but there has to be, as you said, a guarantor that once the war ends, things will not go bad. So this is something which President Trump would focus, and I tell you, he wants to focus right now so that he can on his own agenda, domestic agenda, because 4 years is not a long period, I tell you, for President Trump, because he has to implement. Your colleague was saying very rightly regarding the tariffs. Now the tariffs is the common man in US will suffer, because if the Chinese goods are coming, because small things, the consumable items, the Americans do not produce. So if these things come and the people have to pay more, there will be the repercussion for Trump. So he will go slowly, steadily, because these tariffs will be a pressure on the Chinese to negotiate. This is what President Trump would be doing, putting pressure like tariffs and others on other countries to put a pressure to negotiate, to come to a compromise, so that in this, the Americans people should not suffer. President Trump knows about it. Talking publicly about some things and sitting on the table and implementing it are two different things.
Right. Mr. Kiani, when I understand that you're of the view that President Donald Trump wants to emerge as a guarantor when it comes to the resolution of the Ukraine conflict, and also leave a legacy of a peacemaker and a unifier in Ukraine in particular also. What about the role of the Chinese, especially when we talk of that 12-point peace proposal already given by the Chinese leadership to resolve this conflict?
Chinese intervention, Chinese support is extremely important. If you look at it, you yourself talked about President Putin and President Xi talking over the telephone. And one of the issues which will be the Ukraine war. And the President Trump and the US administration knows the immense influence the Chinese have over President Putin. And the Chinese have already, I said, given the 12 point, they want this war to end. It has no benefits for anybody. The Chinese do not benefit from it. But at the same time, the Chinese would not like to leave President Putin away, to isolate them. So it will be important for that to get the support of the Chinese to end the war. The Chinese influence globally is a fact. It's a reality, and nobody can deny. And why should President Trump and his advisors ignore China?
Right, Mr. Kiani, your quick comment regarding as to President Putin's desire during this particular phone call with President Xi Jinping. He talked of any sort of a Ukraine settlement must be respecting Russian interests.
Yes, very right. The reason is during these first, second world wars and others, the borders of Russians have been encroached many a times. So at this time, the security of the Russian borders is sacrosanct. It's very important, and I doubt very much that President Putin will compromise on that. And the Americans also understand the importance and the security of the Russian borders. So there will be a compromise on both, ending the war, putting pressure on the Ukrainian that look, these areas which the Russians want, they will have, and the war will end. Your suffering will also end.
Right, Mr. Akram, this no-limit partnership between Russia and China, and do you see it a sort of a coincidence that this particular phone call between President Xi Jinping and President Putin happened a few hours after that inauguration of President Donald Trump? Was it aimed at sending a message?
Yes, this phone call, I think, was a message to President Trump that because his speech was quite, I would say, aggressive, and his speech had basically was not of a president's inaugural speech. It was a very aggressive speech. He even spoke lots of things about President Joe Biden, who was just sitting over there. He did not care whether Biden or Kamala Harris are sitting over there. So similarly, he made very strong statements about China. So this phone call, and a very long phone call, and normally there is a very less coming out from China and Russia, but this time we saw a very elaborate press release, and along with the videos coming out from China also and from Russia also. So yes, this was a message to President Trump that he should better not mess up, he should better not give aggressive statements, because China thinks that even the aggressive statements can destabilize the situation. China has been playing a very, very mediatory role between lots of countries. We have seen recently China has played a role in Myanmar also. We have seen China played a role between Iran and Saudi Arabia also. China in fact brought all the Palestinian factions on one platform. If today President Trump is taking a credit of ending the Palestine-Israel war, but we must not forget that it was China who had basically took this initiative. All the factions of the Palestinian resistance, they sat together and they were of one voice. Otherwise, this deal was not possible. So China's role is very, very important. But this phone call, yes, it is a message to President Trump that he should not, he is not allowed to say whatever he wants to say, because China is not that old China. China is now an economic power. You just can't stand up and start threatening a country. You just can't stand up and say, tomorrow we are not going to take your goods. So there has to be a rationale. You have to talk. So I think the more this kind of pressure President Trump would put, China would not reply aggressively. But yes, China has its own way of replying to these sorts of things. During this last tenure, we saw how he banned Huawei. We saw lots of things happening, but this time I don't think that China is not going to give this much of space to President Trump that he can just play around with China.
Or what about, as you already mentioned, China's increased mediatory role? And when it comes to the resolution of the Ukraine conflict and President Trump's desire of China's intervention in that?
Yes, China will definitely play a role. China and Brazil had already given a plan. China is sitting with Russia in Shanghai Cooperation Organization, in BRICS also, and President Xi Jinping, they have a personal friendship also. Of course, this war is going to end very soon, and because the more influenced by China, but at the same time, America has to stop arming Ukraine, because we have seen that before President Biden had given billions of money to Ukrainians. So will Trump stop that money? So what is going to happen? Because President Trump has to stop the flow of weapons and he has to stop the flow of money to Ukraine. He has to give a shut-up call to Ukraine that it's high time, now you must sit with the Russians and take a decision and stop this war, because all the onus for stopping the war is not on Russia. The similar kind of on NATO also and is on US also.
And more interestingly, when it was supplying Ukraine with weapons, the Secretary of State had been continuously supporting the war machine of Russia.
Yes, but China had not been kind of weapons which NATO and America had been supplying to Zelensky. We have seen they have been supplying them with all kinds of lethal weapons. We have seen ICBM, we have seen deadly drones being supplied to them. But China had been giving diplomatic support to Russia. China had been standing with the Russian president all along. China has helped Russia in the trade, because China and Russia now doing their trade in Chinese RMB because of the sanctions on Russia. At the same time, I would again say that if the onus stopping the war is on Russia, the similar kind of onus for stopping the war is on President Trump also.
Right, Mr. Awan, this no-limit partnership, what does it stand for? And for the new administration in the US, more of a challenge when it comes to US relations towards both of these countries is concerned?
Looking at the political system in both countries, China and Russia, both are the communist bloc. They have same ideology. They have similar approach on many things. On the other hand, both of them are the victim of the Western world. So they have more convergence of interest. And of course, when they unite, they can neutralize the Western pressures and coercion. So this is natural that China and Russia should consult with each other and strengthen their ties. And no limit relationship is the best terminology to be used. In fact, both countries are supporting each other and trying to rescue or save themselves or each other from the Western coercion and pressures. And Trump has threatened both China and Russia. They impose sanctions on both countries. So of course they are more, this is natural to have alliance between them. And regarding about the Ukraine war, I heard many comments. Initially, Russia was not planned to have a long-term war on Ukraine. They say it is a special military operation, a short term. They will just go and bomb something and they come back. Like it was the NATO, it was the American who prolonged this war. They made transform this small military operation to full-fledged, full-scale war. And Russia has never ever refused to end the war or peace negotiation. And now, of course, it will end. Definitely, Russia since beginning was willing to end the war. Even the China has asking them to end the war. The problem was only the peace deal, the terms and condition. Of course, Russia is the winner. They will put up condition, and they have to. Other party have to accept the Russian terms and condition. There should be some reasonable and sensible terms and condition, but the winner partner is always having the upper hand. It will definitely end. Definitely end. Trump has this approach, and he has announced that he is peacemaker and he will do it, and Russia and China are on board.
Right. Mr. Kiani, one last quick comment by your side on this particular, the no-limit partnership. You already were of the view, the situation as far as the resolution of Ukraine conflict and then President Trump's approach towards China are two different things. But when we talk about this partnership and Russia and China sitting together on multilateral fora, including BRICS as well as Shanghai Cooperation Organization, do you think the US administration would have to go about this particular no-limit partnership in a collective sense?
State to you, sir, that China's image globally is of a country which improves its influence through peacemaking. It doesn't talk about through its economic influence, helping people, helping countries, improving the infrastructure, improving their lives. So at this time, China will use its influence on Russia also to end the war, and it will cooperate with the United States to end the war. As far as my colleague is concerned, I agree that the Russians will have an upper hand, but a compromise will be struck in which the war would end and both sides would disassociate themselves, in a very peaceful manner inside both the sides. Because this is something, and the Chinese would come out, as I tell you, as victors. You will see Chinese getting the what you call support globally of a country which does not want any war. And just say one last thing, you will see in this whole year President Trump visiting Russia and visiting China, because he wants a global support, as somebody who wants to show his image as somebody who's a peacemaker.
Mr. Shahid M.G. Kiani, former ambassador joining us on Skype. Thank you very much for taking time out for Viewers on News tonight. Really appreciate it. We were joined by Mr. Khalid Taimur Akram, international relations expert. Mr. Akram, thank you very much for your time. And Mr. Zamir Ahmed Awan, foreign affairs expert. Mr. Awan, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on the show tonight. With that, we come to the end of today's episode. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.
India is misleading the world by its false narrative of peace and development in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Modi regime is trying to hide the reality about Kashmir through its propaganda machine. Indian troops are committing worst human rights violations in occupied region. Modi's 5th August 2019 illegal move has put occupied Jammu and Kashmir into a reverse gear in all spheres of life. Lasting peace in region till resolution of Kashmir issue as per Kashmiris' aspirations.
One of those people who brought in Punjabi rap, brings a lot of pride to Pakistan. Rubail Akile is German, that we've actually been joined by. If they're not very controversial, if we can share them on screen, please go ahead.
I'm a nomad musician. I was very close to my mom. I lost my mom at an early age. As a child, you have certain cadence that you have to follow. There's timing, there's rhyme to it. Feel or being feeling vulnerable. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna hide my feelings, what's in my heart and my... You're gonna say, oh wow, yeah, shit.
Wonderful to have you over here.
We are proud Pakistanis.
We are the healers and bring hope to those in need.
We are the builders.
We are the who create the infrastructure of our country.
We are the artists who bring joy and beauty to your faces.
We are the dreamers and the doers.
We are the champions, the athletes who bring glory and pride to our nation.
And we are the storytellers.
The journalists that bring you stories and news that matter.
Meet the team that brings you the latest news from all over the world.
Join us as we continue to write our story.
And every day, we strive to make Pakistan stronger and more prosperous.
We are PTV World.
Discover the heart and soul of Pakistan like never before.
Experience the rich culture, stunning landscape, and true flavors of our land. Every destination brings a new story,
A new taste.
and a new thrill.
The past and present blend together.
A future filled with promise and beauty.
It's not just a country, it's an emotion.
It's a hope and a dream of millions.
Discover the flavor behind the secrets.
That make our cuisine unforgettable.
Join us through this journey of glorious Pakistan.
That's it one. This should be taken. It's going to be comfortable. It is. The second wicket goes down. England 2 for 80.
Appeal caught behind. They've got the big wicket. Root has been dismissed.
Set himself nicely. 46 off 56, but he's got it the park.
I'm Dr. Tariq. I'm a liver transplant surgeon at Sheikh Zayed Hospital, Lahore. I'll be appearing on Syed Farooq Hassan program Sky is the Limit. Please don't miss it.
Choose less over more in it. Be satisfied with what you have, even if it is less than what others have. In fact, prefer to have less.
Welcome to the show, Trending World. I'm your host, Sayyida Kuratulain. So we are going to start this show with some exciting and entertaining show read. From exploring the fashion, latest fashion and celebrity looks.
Shumaila, where are you from?
I'm from Peshawar.
You're from Peshawar? Where did you learn English?
Well, it is me in the home.
At home?
It's about music. Let's see what's in the jukebox.
For a while there it was rough, but lately I've been doing better.
Creating drama is a thing of PTV Home. Predictions are based on moon and sign according to Vedic and celestial astrology.
Islamabad territory, A modern planned city that is well maintained and well organized, Islamabad is Pakistan's clean, calm, and green capital. Founded in the 1960s, it attracts people from all over Pakistan. Located on the Potohar Plateau in the northeastern part of the country, between Rawalpindi district and the Margla Hills National Park to the north. Faisal Mosque, the largest mosque in South Asia, Margla Hills National Park, Damanico, Pakistan Monument, Rawal Lake, Simli Lake, and Fatima Jinnah Park are among the tourist attractions in the territory. It is ranked as the second most beautiful capital city in the world.
All the way for 6.
Rodman Powell, he's got great hands, he's a big man. Turn back enough. Umpire thinks yes.
6 wickets to Shaheen Shah, his best in Test match cricket.
Game on hai.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif says the government and the media have a relationship of mutual trust and constructive criticism of the government policies is important for improvement of governance.
Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb holds a number of meetings on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum at Davos, highlighting the key structural reforms undertaken by the government to promote economic stability and sustainable growth.
Federal Minister for Interior Mohsin Naqvi meets members of US Congress Joe Wilson and Rob Bresnahan separately in Washington and discussed with them ways to enhance bilateral ties.
Federal Minister for Overseas Pakistanis Chaudhry Salih Hussain says it is necessary to provide technical training to youth before sending them abroad.
Election Commission of Pakistan releases latest in the country showing the number of registered voters has crossed the 132.6 million mark.
The Islamabad High Court rejects for stay in the trial of Tosha Khana 2 case and adjourns the hearing till January 28th.
United Nations warns that Israel's ongoing attacks in the occupied West Bank have left Jenin refugee camp nearly uninhabitable, with at least 10 people killed and water and electricity cut off from the main hospital there.
United Nations says West Bank is part of occupied Palestinian territories. The UN spokesperson's comments came in reaction to Donald Trump's nominee for UN ambassadorship's assertion that Israel has biblical right in the occupied Palestinian territory.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman says the kingdom would expand its investment and trade with the United States over $600 billion in 4 years and potentially beyond that.
At least 11 people died in a rail accident in India's western Maharashtra state when they disembarked from their train, fearing a fire, only to be hit by another train passing on the adjacent track.
Thousands evacuated as new fast-growing fires ignite near Los Angeles, a region already reeling from the most destructive fires in its history.
The ICC unveils a new promo for the Champions Trophy featuring Pakistan's Shadab Khan and Shaheen Afridi, along with India's Hardik Pandya.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to news at PTV World, and with this hour's bulletin, I'm Muzammil Ali Khan.
And I'm Sahra Sikandar.
And these are the news in detail. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has said that the government and the media have a relationship of mutual trust, and constructive criticism of the government policies is important for the improvement of governance. He said this during this meeting with the delegation of Pakistan Broadcasters Association. Prime Minister said there is complete freedom of expression in the country and that the government believes that the media is the fourth. He said Udan Pakistan is a locally developed national project which will be made successful with the support of the media and all holders. Prime Minister Shehbaz said after the country achieved stability by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the pace of the development of country and the pace of development of the country has started again where it was stopped in 2018. He said Pakistan saw the golden era of development under the leadership of Nawaz Sharif, and even today the journey of progress continues under his leadership. He said, "We are very grateful to our friends and brother countries as with their support Pakistan came back from move towards economic progress." Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the credit for substantial reduction in the rate of inflation and the interest rate in the country goes to the hard work of the economic team.
Finance Minister Mohammed Aurangzeb met with his Saudi counterpart Mohammed bin Abdullah Al Jadaan on the sidelines of World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos. Mohammed Aurangzeb highlighted the key reform measures undertaken by the government to promote economic stability and sustainable growth. He briefed him on structural reforms, fiscal discipline, and regulatory improvements that have contributed to an improved investment climate in Pakistan. Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthening the economic and financial ties between the two countries for shared prosperity. Finance Minister Mohammed Aurangzeb, in his meeting with Qatari counterpart Ali Ahmed Al Khawari on the sidelines of World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, discussed avenues for enhancing economic and investment cooperation between two brotherly countries. He highlighted Pakistan's improved international financial ratings, which reflect the country's robust efforts towards fiscal reforms, macroeconomic stability, and sustainable development. The finance minister emphasized that these improvements are positioning Pakistan as an attractive destination for foreign investment, especially from key partner nations like Qatar. The meeting concluded with a shared vision to strengthen the partnership between the two nations, aiming to elevate the level of economic engagement for the benefit of both countries. Finance Minister Mohammed Aurangzeb also met with many operations at the World Bank and Jurde. They discussed cooperation between Pakistan and the World Bank, with a particular focus on Pakistan's macroeconomic stability. Finance Minister emphasized the government's strong partnership with the bank and expressed hope that the World Bank would continue playing a key role in the country's socio-economic development.
Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb has appraised the participants of Pakistan's economy and IMF program while also appreciating measures taken to reduce the effects of inflation. He was speaking at an event organized in his honor on the behalf of Pathfinder Group. Special Assistant to Sindh Chief Minister on Investment, Qasim Naveed Qamar, and Pakistan's Ambassador to Switzerland, Amir Shaukat, also attended this event. Meanwhile, the 55th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum is underway under the slogan of Smart Technologies. The meeting is being held at a time when the world is witnessing an increase in humanitarian, climatic, economic and geopolitical challenges. The forum is also bringing together world leaders to find the most significant solutions to the global challenges and manage a just and inclusive energy transition. Apart from leading thinkers from academic institutions and think tanks, the forum's special session also aims to enhance collaboration between public and private sectors to explore future opportunities. More than 1,000 senior representatives from private leaders and representatives of civil society and educational institutions are participating in this forum.
Federal Minister for Interior Mohsen Naqvi met members Congress Joe Wilson and Rob Brisnahan separately in Washington today. During the meeting, they discussed with them the matters of mutual interest and bilateral cooperation in diverse fields. He also discussed the situation in Afghanistan and its long-standing impact on the region and the world. He emphasized the need to enhance mutual exchanges of trade and cultural delegations between the two countries, and Pakistan is working to improve bilateral relations. He said that newly elected President Donald Trump's speech is very encouraging in recent global situation, and he is a symbol of hope for the region. Mohsen Naqvi said that USA is an important strategic partner of Pakistan. They also discussed about the problems being faced by Pakistanis living abroad.
Federal Minister for Overseas Pakistanis Chaudhry Salih Hussain has said that it is necessary to provide technical training to youth before sending them abroad. Addressing a seminar in Islamabad, Federal Minister said institutions should provide technical training to the youth according to the requirements of the foreign countries and the global job market. He said the European Union is yielding positive results and that the Ministry of Overseas Pakistanis is playing a crucial role in this project. Federal Minister said many important steps have been taken under the GSP Plus agreement in the past 8 years. He also mentioned the ministry is also playing its role in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. He further added there is a zero-tolerance policy on harassment in offices and legislation has been made against it.
The National Assembly has resumed its session at the Parliament House in Islamabad with Speaker Sardar Ayaz Sadiq in the chair. Speaking on the floor of the House, Energy Minister Awais Ahmed Khan Lighari said the government is aggressively pursuing solarization of 25,000 tube wells, and the process has been completed on 3,000 tube wells in Balochistan. He said a meeting of Balochistan lawmakers in National Assembly to be arranged with KESCO CEO next week to address grievances, and the board and management of HESCO will be revamped. Parliamentary Secretary Mia Khan Bukti told the House that the policy to sell 35% natural gas to third party is aimed at introducing competitive pricing, which can initially result in higher rates compared to current regulated system. He said that 65% of the gas will still be provided at government-controlled rates to ensure affordable supply for households and vulnerable consumers. The parliamentary secretary said the move will improve efficiency, reduce losses and encourage investment in gas production. He said no new gas connections are being given and only previous applications are being entertained, and committee has been formed to prevent gas theft.
Foreign Office spokesperson Shafqat Ali Khan has said Pakistani mission is continuously monitoring and assisting the Pakistani people affected by a tragic boat accident occurred in Morocco last week. Addressing his weekly media briefing, the spokesperson said, fortunately, 22 Pakistanis survived the incident and their list has been already shared. He said the Moroccan authorities provided full cooperation in all matters. The spokesperson welcomed the new United States president and said that Pakistan enjoyed deep-rooted friendship with the United States since past decades. Ceasefire in Gaza and hoped that aid would finally reach Palestinian people. Shafqat Ali Khan said Pakistan is eager to contribute to making Gaza habitable again. Spokesperson strongly condemned the recent attacks by Israeli forces during the ceasefire agreement.
The Election Commission Pakistan released the latest figures of the number of voters in the country. According to the new voters list, the number of registered voters in the country has crossed 132.6 million. According to Election Commission, the number of male registered voters is 71.275 million, while the number of female voters is 61.393 million. The number of voters in Islamabad is 1.178 million. The number of voters in Punjab is 75.045 million. The number of voters in Balochistan is 5.437 million. Sindh has 27.824 million registered voters, while Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has 22.589 million.
Islamabad High Court has rejected pleas for stay in the trial of Tosha Khana 2 case and adjourned the hearing till 28th of January. The Islamabad High Court was hearing PTI founder and Bushra Bibi's counsels who had moved the court for acquittal in the case. During the hearing, the court observed that there is no judicial precedent for stay during criminal proceedings. However, Justice Raja Inam Amin Minhas has said that this court will hear the case and advise the counsel for the accused to present arguments on the merits of this case.
Pakistan's stock exchange has witnessed a bullish trend at start of business as the KSE 100 index gained over 700 points, surging to over more than 114,100 mark.
Two-member bench of the Supreme Court, headed by Justice Mansoor Ali Shah, has reserved its judgment on the content of court proceedings against additional registrar and the subsequent question of whether the bench's committee can withdraw a case from regular bench if constitutionality of law arises. In his arguments, Attorney General Mansoor Usman said the bench has a very limited jurisdiction in the contempt proceedings, and if it wants to expand the scope of these hearings, it must refer the matter to Chief Justice. While Amici Hamid Khan and Munir Malik argued in favour of a full court taking up the important questions arising from these proceedings and contended that judicial order cannot be set aside by administrative order. However, Khwaja Haris and Ehsan Bhoon said that the law provides in unequivocal terms which cases would land before constitutional bench and raised doubts over two-member bench's jurisdiction to constitute full court. Ehsan Bhoon argued that after 26th Amendment, even if constitutionality of law or interpretation of law arises in a case before regular bench, it must refer the matter to the constitutional bench. Bhoon argued that as long as 26th Amendment is a part of the Constitution, it has to be followed and a regular bench just cannot assume jurisdiction.
Pakistan stands ready to share its counter-terrorism expertise with African partners and assist in establishing institutional structures and capacity building for sustainable peace. This was stated by Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations, Munir Akram, while speaking at the United Nations Security Council high-level open debate on counter-terrorism in Africa. Ambassador Munir Akram said that global terrorism landscape has evolved dramatically, with the terrorism epicenter having shifted from Middle East to the Central Sahel region of sub-Saharan Africa. He said terrorist groups are operating with increasing impunity in ungoverned spaces, including in the Sahel, the Horn of Africa, Cabo Delgado, and Burkina Faso and Mali among the three most affected countries. He said that Daesh is decimated in Syria and Iraq, but its franchises have emerged in Afghanistan and the Sahel. Ambassador Munir Akram emphasized Pakistan's long-standing commitment to countering terrorism and said that Pakistan has been at the forefront of the fight against global terrorism for the past 4 decades. He urged a review of UN-sanctioned regimes to ensure they address African nation challenges without hindering development.
In an exclusive interview with the PTV World, a newly posted Japanese ambassador has said his country will provide Pakistan maximum support in its endeavours to achieve economic prosperity. Envoy also said his top priority was to maximize people-to-people contact with the two countries. More in this report by our correspondent Hassan Gillani. Let's have a look.
Since Pakistan's creation, Pakistan and Japan have enjoyed warm and cordial relations. This cooperative partnership is now expected to see new heights. In an exclusive interview with PTV World, the newly posted Japanese ambassador to Pakistan, Mr. Akamatsu, promised his country's maximum support to Pakistan to help the country achieve sustainable economic growth.
More than 70 years, we have provided ODA, Official Development Assistance, to Pakistan people, and we will continue to provide such useful ODA to Pakistani people, and by means we will improve the living standard of the Pakistani people.
The Japanese envoy says his top priority is to promote people-to-people contact between Pakistan and Japan.
I place the highest priorities on these people relations between two countries. There are many kinds of methods, so from now on I would push these methods to let as many Pakistani people as possible to visit Japan. Especially this year we have hosted the Osaka Kansai Expo that will be starting from the April to October. So that is a very good opportunity for many Pakistani people to come to Japan.
Cultural relations and people-to-people contacts are indeed quintessential to promote a strong bilateral partnership between Pakistan and Japan. Japan has been doing wonderfully and technically, and there is so much for Pakistan to learn from Japan as a country in order to accelerate its pace of economic growth and also compete in the rapidly advancing global community. Hassan Gillani, PTV World, Islamabad.
The United Nations has warned that Israel's ongoing attacks on the occupied West Bank have left a refugee camp nearly uninhabitable, with at least 10 people killed and water and electricity in the main hospital there. Israel's military operation in the occupied West Bank is entering its third day with at least 10 Palestinians killed and another 40, including children, wounded. Deputy spokesperson Farhan Haq cited the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, when he warned that the operation by Israel in the city of Jenin is putting people's safety and welfare at risk while destroying the structure as basic as roads, electricity and water pipes. An official in the city in the occupied West Bank has said around 2,000 Palestinian families have been displaced from the Jenin refugee camp amid an Israeli military invasion now in its second day. He said that families have dispersed to nearby villages under harsh conditions, lacking the basic necessities. Bashir Matahim.
As part of the occupied Palestinian territories and its future, as well as of Gaza and other occupied Palestinian territories as a whole, needs to be dealt with through negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian authorities. The UN spokesman Farhanul Haq made these comments in response to a question about the remarks of Donald Trump's nominee for the US ambassador to UN about the occupied West Bank. Elise Stefanik on Tuesday had told a US senator that she agreed that Israel had a biblical right to the occupied West Bank.
Trucks waving Egyptian flags and carrying heavy machinery were seen moving at the Rafah border crossing in Egypt, heading towards Gaza on the third day of ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. According to assessments from the United Nations, billions of dollars will be to rebuild Gaza after this Israeli massive attacks left almost the entire Gaza Strip in ruins. The ceasefire took effect on January 19 to bring an end to bloodshed and devastation by Israeli forces. Nearly 900 humanitarian
ये हुक्म आता था कि गर्मियों में पंखा नहीं चलेगा, सर्दियों में हीट आएगा। इधर सर साइकिल दी गई है जो बाइसिकल है एक्सरसाइज के लिए। एक रेजिडेंशियल स्वीट है जिसमें एक हिस्सा किचन और पेंट्री का है, एक कमरा रिहाइश का है, एक वॉकिंग गैलरी है, एक एक्सरसाइज रूम है। तो ये सारी चीजें किसी आम कैदी को मुयस्सर नहीं होती, मगर इन्होंने अदालतों में ऑर्डर कर करके, अदालतों में जा के दरखास्तें दे के कहते थे एनआरओ नहीं मांगेंगे, सख्ती काटेंगे। वो कभी मरियम नवाज शरीफ साहिबा का सेल देख लेते कि जिस 6 बाय 10 के सेल के अंदर उनको रखा गया था, यहाँ पे तो बाकायदा स्पेशल शेफ आता है। मैरियट के इतने अच्छे शेफ नहीं होंगे जितने अच्छे शेफ जेल के अंदर वहाँ पे मुयस्सर किए गए हैं। तो ये रफीउल्लाह साहब ने जो बात की, इसके जवाब में मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि किसी और कैदी को ये सहूलत मुयस्सर नहीं है जो बानी चेयरमैन है। उन्होंने स्पेशल अपने लिए डिस्पेंसेशन थ्रू कोर्ट्स की है। बहुत शुक्रिया
जी, शुक्रिया। क्वेश्चन आवर इज ओवर।
That was Law Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Ataullah Tardar, addressing the Assembly floor in the National Assembly. Now, coming back to the news, United States President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, has announced that he will visit Gaza in the coming days as a part of what he called an inspection team to monitor ceasefire agreement reached between Israel and Hamas last week. During an interview, Witkoff said he would tour 2 Israeli-held zones in Gaza as a part of the upcoming trip to Israel. Netzarim corridor separates north and south Gaza and has been occupied by the Israeli forces since they invaded Palestinian enclave in late October 2023. Philadelphia corridor runs between southern Gaza and Egypt. Israel's military took operational control of the area in May of last. The trip will be envoy's first visit to the Middle East since Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire deal on 15th of January. Witkoff, a businessman with no previous diplomatic experience, had previously joined the talks in Qatar that led to the deal.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said the kingdom would expand its investment and trade with the United States to $600 billion over 4 years and potentially beyond that. He called U.S. President Donald Trump to congratulate him on his inauguration and discuss key regional issues and investment opportunities. MBS conveyed warm regards on behalf of King Salman, expressing optimism about President Trump's leadership and its potential to foster progress for the American people. The two leaders discussed Middle East security and ways to deepen cooperation on issues like combating terrorism and promoting regional stability. The Crown Prince also reiterated Saudi Arabia's commitment to expanding its economic relations with the United States, outlining plans for investment worth $600 billion over the next 4 years, with potential for further growth. MBS also expressed confidence in Trump's economic policies, stressing that they present a historic opportunity for prosperity in both countries. Saudi Arabia, he said, is eager to capitalize on this momentum to bolster joint ventures and strategic investments across various sectors. President Trump also expressed his commitment to strengthening U.S.-Saudi relations, underlining the importance of continuing to advance their shared interests in the region.
United States military has started to send 1,500 active duty troops to the country's southern border with Mexico as part of President Donald Trump's long-promised crackdown on immigration. The White House confirmed that the troop movement through the full details of the order have yet to be released. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that the White House that Donald Trump signed an executive order for 1,500 additional troops for the United States southern border. Officials told U.S.
सब उनको मुयसर कर रहे हैं ये फैसिलिटी। तो प्रेफरेंस हमारी ये है कि दूर दराज के इलाकों में इन स्कूलों को इस्टेब्लिश किया जाए ताकि वहाँ की आबादी जो है इससे मुस्तफ़ीद हो सके, और कोई वजह नहीं है, स्कूल अभी भी खुल रहे हैं। थैंक यू।
आसिया नाज तनवी साहब एक सवाल कीजिए।
That was the law minister addressing the floor. And now coming back to the news, U.S. President Donald Trump said he has selected Sean Curran to serve as the director of the U.S. Secret Service. Curran was part of Trump's security details during an attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania. Said he proved his fearless courage when he risked his own life to help save mine from an assassin's bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania. I have complete and total confidence in Sean to make the United States Service stronger than ever before. Curran would replace Ron Rowe, who was serving as and acting as the director when the Secret Service Director Kimberly Chettle resigned after the agency came under scrutiny for its failure to stop a would-be assassin from wounding Trump during a campaign rally.
The Executive Committee of the Special Investment Facilitation Council held its 12th meeting to review progress on ongoing projects and policy measures across various sectors. The meeting, chaired by Planning Minister Ahsan Iqbal, included federal ministers, the SIFC National Coordinator, federal secretaries, provincial chief secretaries, and senior government officials. During the meeting, ministries presented updates on projects and policy initiatives under SIFC. Discussions focused on industries, agriculture and livestock, mines and minerals, oil and gas, and port development. The committee emphasized the importance of close coordination among stakeholders to accelerate industrialization and improve the investment climate. Progress was also reviewed on the framework for special economic zones approved during the 11th Peaks Committee meeting, chaired by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, with directives issued for expected implementation.
Governor Punjab Sardar Salim Haider Khan has expressed grief and sorrow over the loss of precious lives in repeated incidents of boats capsizing as a part of human smuggling and illegal immigration. Addressing a public meeting in Mandi Bauddin, he said that it is unfortunate that a significant number of residents of Mandi Bauddin were among the victims of the illegal trade. He said that the FIA has been instructed to take all possible measures to ensure prevention of such incidents in the future and the arrest of those involved in human trafficking. Governor said that Pakistan People's Party has the ability to address the deprivations of the downtrodden sections under the chairmanship of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari.
Consul General Hussain Mohammed held a meeting with the new board of Pakistan Business Council Dubai at the Consulate General of Pakistan. The Consul General emphasized the need for business leaders to explore opportunities in Pakistan's diverse sectors, including IT manufacturing, agriculture and tourism. He said that Pakistan offers immense potential for investment and trade, with Special Investment Facilitation Council established as a single window to facilitate investors. He urged the Pakistan business to act as a bridge for creating new partnerships and expanding existing ones.
Embassy of Pakistan and Hague, in collaboration with the Trade and Development Authority of Pakistan, has organized an engaging webinar of Pakistan, the Netherlands exploring trade and investment opportunities in the IT sector, attended by representatives of over 100 IT firms from both Pakistan and the Netherlands. This marked a landmark event highlighted the growing potential for collaboration between the two countries in the rapidly evolving IT sector. Event showcased Pakistan's IT industry's capabilities, emphasizing the country's youth-driven workforce, cost-effective talent and robust IT services ecosystem. Embassy expressed its commitment to facilitating follow-up discussions and also ensuring the momentum gained from this event translates into tangible business outcomes.
Pakistan Academy of Letters organized an interprovincial residential program for young writers across the country to promote literary activities. Young authors from various regions of the country participated in the program. You know more about the event. Let's see a report by our correspondent Rahul Basharat.
The Pakistan Academy of Letters hosted a 10-day inter-provincial residential program for young writers in Islamabad. During the event, the Academy launched its latest publications and organized several literary sessions. The program was aimed to familiarize young writers from remote areas with the mainstream literary world. Renowned literary figures and dignitaries from various walks of life attended the sessions. They stated that the Pakistan Academy of Letters is fostering harmony by arranging such programs for young writers.
The prime duty of Pakistan is to promote harmony and to promote literature and culture of Pakistan through writers' community. And this is high time that we should invite people from all our provinces, all our languages should be represented.
Young authors shared their thoughts on Pakistani literature in the context of Palestine. They also viewed that such programs are vital for encouraging literary activities in the country.
Voices regarding Palestine that emanate outside the West and Western academia. I don't think many people have talked about alternative voices regarding the Palestine issues. So this initiative by the Academy of Letters contributes towards that.
I'm very grateful to Pakistan Academy of Letters that they provide us a chance to come here across the world, and we meet here from different sides of the Pakistan, including Balochistan, Sindh, KPK, Punjab and Kashmir. We are gathered here to share our cultural as well as our social values.
Participants expressed that such initiatives also provide opportunities to promote solidarity and harmony among writers from different regions of Pakistan. The promotion of art and literature plays an important role in the development of any country and helps shaping a positive image of it. Rahul Bisharat, PTV World, Islamabad.
A historic Sufi by Abida Parveen took place at the Museum of Islamic Art in Doha, Qatar. In a historic cultural event, the legendary Sufi singer Abida Parveen delivered a live performance at the Museum of Islamic Art. This marked the first time that a Sufi music event of such magnitude was held at this prestigious venue, captivating an exclusive gathering with the depth and beauty of Sufi traditions. Hosted by Office of Her Highness Sheikh Al-Mayasa bint Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, chairperson of Qatar Museums, this concert was a part of the Manzar exhibition, showcasing the evolution of Pakistani art and architecture from the 1940s to the present. Known as the Queen of Sufi music, Abida Parveen's performance not only brought the mystical essence of Sufism to life, but also highlighted the rich cultural heritage of Pakistan. The event was also a showcase for Pakistani fashion, featuring customized heritage couture by renowned designers Nomi Ansari and Mohsin Naveed Ranja, with artistic direction by Hashim Ali of Coke Studio fame. This fusion of art and fashion underscored the innovation spirit of Pakistan. Embassy of Pakistan in Qatar proudly acknowledges this event as a significant movement for Pakistani community in Qatar, demonstrating the vibrant cultural exchange between Qatar and Pakistan. Ambassador Muhammad Amir also, along with other embassy officials, attended the VIP event, which served as a proud testament to deep cultural bonds and mutual appreciation between the two nations. This landmark event further strengthens the cultural bridge between Qatar and Pakistan, showcasing the profound spiritual and artistic traditions that continue to resonate across borders.
At least 11 people died in a rail accident in India's western Maharashtra state when they disembarked from their train fearing a fire, only to be hit by another train passing on the adjacent track. Railway officials told local media that someone had pulled the train's alarm chain, causing it to come to a halt, after which several passengers deboarded onto the adjacent tracks and were mowed down by another passing train. Hit by a train on an adjacent track, it was not immediately clear whether there had actually been a fire. India has launched a $30 billion program to modernize its railway in recent years, but this has been marred by a series of accidents, including a major three-train crash in 2023 in the state of Orissa, which left nearly 300 people dead. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said in a post on X that he was deeply saddened by the tragic loss of lives during the incident near Pachora in Jalgaon district, about 400 kilometers from Mumbai, the India's financial capital.
A knife attacker killed a 2-year-old child and a man in a park in Germany, where the police arrested the attacker, Afghan man, as the main suspect. Chancellor Olaf Scholz condemned the unbelievable act of terror on play school group after the left 3 more people wounded. Stabbing occurred in public park in the town of Aschaffenburg, with the suspect identified as a 28-year-old Afghan national and a failed asylum seeker targeting a group of toddlers from a daycare center. The attack left a child of Moroccan origin and a 41-year-old passerby both dead. In Bavaria's regional interior minister, Jaukom Hermann, told reporters. Minister suggested that the deceased passerby is believed to have courageously intervened to protect the other children, ending up fatally injured by the attacker. Other 3 victims were hospitalized after the attack, including an adult with multiple knife wounds, a 2-year-old Syrian boy with minor wounds to his neck, and a daycare teacher who had broken her arm while trying to flee the attacker. Local police said it had detained the suspect shortly after the incident vicinity of the crime scene.
Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashida said it was desirable that the new U.S. administration under President Donald Trump was welcoming investment in by Japanese companies. Japan's Nikkei share average posted a 2-week closing high today, powered by SoftBank Group and other technology stocks after Trump's announced a private sector investment of up to $500 billion to fund artificial intelligence infrastructure. The Nikkei ended 1.58% higher at 39.646.25, its highest close since January 8th. The announcement on Trump's second day in office follows the rolling back of former President Joe Biden's executive order on AI that was intended to reduce the risks artificial intelligence poses to consumers, workers, and national security.
A new fast-moving wildfire has erupted in Los Angeles County, prompting thousands to evacuate a region already reeling from the most destructive fires in history that it has seen. Huge fires ignite about 45 miles northwest of the city of Los Angeles near the Castaic Lake in mountainous area that borders several residential areas and schools. The out-of-control blaze has grown to more than 8,000 acres in several hours, fueled by winds and dry brush that is acting as fuel. No homes or businesses have been damaged, but about 19,000 residents have been forced to flee. New fire is burning north of two mammoth places, which are still burning, that destroyed multiple neighborhoods in the Los Angeles area earlier this month.
A rare winter storm is bringing snow and freezing rain to parts of the U.S. Deep South, closing highways and airports in Texas, promoting a blizzard warning in Louisiana and shocking records in Florida. At least 9 people are thought to have died out due to storm-related traffic.
جو غیر ملکی کمپنیاں پاکستان میں کاروبار کر رہی ہیں اور یہ ملٹی نیشنل کمپنیاں پاکستان کی معیشت میں بہت گراں قدر کنٹریبیوشن کر رہی ہیں. تقریباً یہ 200 کمپنیاں پاکستان میں 1/3 سے زیادہ ٹیکس کی کنٹریبیوشن کرتی ہیں اور یہ بہت ٹرانسپیرنٹ کارپوریٹ گورننس کے ذریعے پاکستان کے پیداوار کے اندر اور پاکستان کی اکنامک ہیلتھ میں کنٹریبیوٹ کر رہی ہیں. اور یہ ایک قابل تقلید مثال ہے کہ کس طرح یہ کمپنیاں اپنا ٹیکس ادا کرنے کے ساتھ ساتھ منافع بھی کماتی ہیں اور کنزیومرز کو بھی سرو کرتی ہیں. ان کمپنیوں کے ساتھ پاکستان میں نئی ٹیکنالوجی لانے میں مدد ملتی ہے, ہمارے مینجمنٹ کے جو نظام ہے اس کو بہتر بنانے میں مدد ملتی ہے, اور اب ضروری ہے کہ ہم فورن ڈائریکٹ انویسٹمنٹ کو ملک کے اندر فروغ دینے کے لیے ایسے اقدامات اٹھائیں کہ جس سے پاکستان جو دنیا کی 5ویں بڑی منڈی ہے آبادی کے لحاظ سے, وہ خاطر خواہ فورن ڈائریکٹ انویسٹمنٹ اٹریکٹ کر سکے. ویتنام جس کی آبادی ہم سے آدھی ہے, 10 کروڑ کی آبادی کے ساتھ وہ تقریباً $28 ارب سالانہ کی فورن ڈائریکٹ انویسٹمنٹ اٹریکٹ کرتا ہے, اور پاکستان 24 کروڑ کی آبادی کے ساتھ 1.5 سے 2 ارب ڈالر کی فورن ڈائریکٹ انویسٹمنٹ اٹریکٹ کرتا ہے, جس کی بڑی وجہ ہمارے ہاں ملک کے سیاسی عدم استحکام اور پالیسیوں میں عدم تسلسل رہا ہے. اور آج کی گفتگو میں بھی ہم نے اسی بات کی نشاندہی کی ہے کہ اڑان پاکستان بہت واضح طور پہ اس بات کی نشاندہی کرتا ہے کہ ماضی میں ہماری 3 اڑانیں سیاسی عدم استحکام کے نتیجے میں اور پالیسیوں کے تسلسل نہ ہونے کی وجہ سے کریش ہوئی ہیں, اور اگر ہم نے اپنی 4تھی اڑان کو فیصلہ کن بنانا ہے تو ضروری ہے کہ ملک کے اندر ہم سیاسی استحکام پر توجہ دیں, ہم ملک میں پالیسیز کے تسلسل کے ساتھ سرمایہ کاروں کو اعتماد دیں کہ 1 سال بعد 2 سال بعد پالیسیاں تبدیل نہیں ہوں گی, اور ہماری حکومت کا کم از کم یہی پورا اس کا ارادہ ہے کہ اس 5 سال کی مدت میں ہم پالیسیوں کو مستحکم رکھیں. اور آپ نے دیکھا کہ جو میکرو اکنامک پالیسیاں ہیں حکومت نے اختیار کی, اس سے استحکام آیا ہے. اس سے پہلے ہمارا جو ریٹ تھا کرنسی کا, وہ اس تیزی کے ساتھ بدلتا تھا کہ کوئی سرمایہ کار اپنی کوئی فیزیبلٹی نہیں بنا سکتا تھا کہ کس بنیاد پہ وہ اپنا انویسٹمنٹ پلان بنائے. لیکن اب آپ نے دیکھا کہ حکومت نے جو اقدامات اٹھائے ان سے ایک سال میں ہمارا ایکسچینج ریٹ قدرے مستحکم ہے کہ جس کے ساتھ اب ملک کے اندر سرمایہ کاری کے فیصلے میں لوگوں کو اعتماد بڑھ رہا ہے. اور اسی طرح ہم چاہتے ہیں کہ نجی شعبے سے اور بالخصوص اوورسیز چیمبر سے مل کر ایک پرائیویٹ سیکٹر لیڈ گروتھ کے عمل کا آغاز کریں. اور یہ تبھی ممکن ہے کہ جب ہم ایسی پالیسیاں بنائیں گے کہ جو پرائیویٹ سیکٹر کے اعتماد کو بحال کریں گی. اور اس کے لیے ہم نے ایک میکنزم بنایا ہے کہ سہ ماہی بنیاد کے اوپر ایک ورکنگ گروپ تشکیل دیا ہے جس کے ذریعے ہم باقاعدہ ہر سہ ماہی میں مل کر ان کے مسائل کا جائزہ لیں گے اور حکومت کی پالیسیوں سے انہیں آگاہ کریں گے اور جو رکاوٹیں ہوں گی انہیں دور کرنے کے لیے اقدامات اٹھائیں گے. تو ایک انگیجمنٹ کا عمل، ایک مسلسل رابطے کا عمل اور نجی شعبے اور حکومت کے درمیان قربت کا تعلق ہی ایک کامیاب معاشی ترقی کا پہلا زینہ ہے کہ جس کے ذریعے ہم آگے بڑھ سکتے ہیں. اسی طرح آج ہم نے مختلف شعبوں میں جیسے تعاون کے اوپر بات کی، اس میں پاکستان کی جو ایکسپورٹ لیڈ گروتھ ہے، ہماری جو 5 ایز فریم ورک ہے اور اڑان پاکستان کی پہلی جو پلر ہے وہ ایکسپورٹ لیڈ ڈیولپمنٹ یا گروتھ ہے. تو اس کے لیے بھی ہم نے تبادلہ خیال کیا ہے کہ آلریڈی ہماری یہ کمپنیاں اب ایکسپورٹ کی طرف جا رہی ہیں اور ہم کس طریقے سے ایکسلریٹ کر سکتے ہیں اس عمل کو تاکہ پاکستان سے جو لو کاسٹ آف پروڈکشن ہے ہیومن ریسورس کی صورت میں اور دیگر عوامل کی صورت میں اس کا فائدہ اٹھے. ہم پاکستان سے مصنوعات بین الاقوامی جو سپلائی چینز ہیں، گلوبل سپلائی چینز ہیں ان کمپنیوں کی، اس کے اندر زیادہ سے زیادہ ڈال سکیں. اسی طرح جیسے صدر صاحب نے کہا کہ آئی ٹی کے شعبے میں ہم سے تعاون مزید حاصل کریں گے اور ہم نے ریکویسٹ کی ہے کہ ہر کمپنی نوجوانوں کی سکل ڈیولپمنٹ کے لیے اپنے کارپوریٹ سوشل رسپانسبلٹی کے پروگرامز کو وسعت دے، چونکہ پاکستان کا سب سے بڑا اثاثہ ہمارے نوجوان ہیں. اور جو پرائم منسٹرز انٹرنشپ پروگرام ہے اس کے تحت ہم ان کمپنیز میں چیمبر کے ذریعے مل کر انٹرنز کو پلیس کریں گے تاکہ وہ ان سے ان کی مینجمنٹ کی نگرانی میں اچھا تجربہ لے کر اپنے لیے بہتر مواقع تلاش کر سکیں. اسی طرح ہم نے اس بات پر بھی ڈسکشن کی ہے کہ ہم ایس ڈی جیز جو ہیں سسٹینیبل ڈیولپمنٹ گولز جو ہیں ان میں کس طرح پرائیویٹ سیکٹر کا جو رول ہے اس کو زیادہ مؤثر کر سکتے ہیں اور کس طرح ہماری یہ کمپنیاں ہمارے ریسرچ کے اداروں سے اور یونیورسٹیز کے ساتھ مل کر پاکستان میں انوویشن ہبز قائم کر سکتی ہیں اور کس طرح یہ اپنے ہیڈ کوارٹرز سے جو R&D سینٹرز ہیں انہیں پاکستان کی طرف منتقل کرانے کے لیے کوشش کر سکتے ہیں. تو ایک براڈ ایجنڈے پر گفتگو ہوئی ہے اور ہم نے ایک مستقل پارٹنرشپ پر اتفاق کیا ہے. اڑان پاکستان حکومت کا پروگرام نہیں ہے، یہ پاکستان کے 24 کروڑ عوام کا پروگرام ہے، یہ ہر طبقے کا پروگرام ہے اور یہ پرائیویٹ سیکٹر لیڈ پروگرام ہے. لہٰذا حکومت کی کوشش ہے کہ ہم اس کی ملکیت پاکستان کے عوام کو اور اس کے جو سٹیک ہولڈرز ہیں ان کو دیں تاکہ ہم سب ایک ٹیم بن کر اس کے اہداف کو حاصل کریں. چونکہ یہ اگر پاکستان مضبوط ہوگا، پاکستان خوشحال ہوگا تو یہ 24 کروڑ عوام کے لیے اس کے ثمرات ہوں گے. لیکن اگر خدا نہ خواستہ ہم معاشی مسائل کو حل کر سکے اور معاشی مشکلات ہوں گی تو پھر اس کی سزا بھی سب کو ملے گی. تو اس لیے اس پروگرام کو کامیاب بنانا ہم سب کا ایک قومی فرض ہے اور مجھے خوشی ہے اور میں شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں اوورسیز انویسٹرز چیمبر کا کہ انہوں نے اڑان پاکستان کے مقاصد کو کامیاب کرنے کے لیے اپنے بھرپور تعاون کا یقین دلایا.
اب آپ کے خیال میں ایسے کون سے فیکٹرز آ گئے ہیں، کون سی تبدیلی آ گئی ہے کہ آپ کے اس بات کا یقین ہے کہ اب چوتھی پالیسی جو ہے وہ کنٹینیو رہے گی, پولیٹیکل اسٹیبلٹی رہے گی اور ملک آگے.
دیکھیے, میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ میرے نزدیک جو اس وقت سب سے بڑی سلور لائننگ ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ پاکستان کی ریاست کے ستونوں میں یہ احساس موجود ہے کہ اب ہم مزید اس ملک میں سیاسی بے یقینی یا عدم استحکام کا کوئی کھیل نہیں کھیل سکتے. پاکستان کے ماضی میں جتنے عدم